Kmart.
It's Dollar Days at Kmart. Low prices on over 300 items. Check your newspaper, then stretch your dollars at Kmart's Dollar Days.
Charlton Heston stars tomorrow at 3:30.
Wide World Special.
$50 if you have a wallet on you. You got a wallet. Show me your wallet. I'm going to give you $50. Good, now I got the wallet. And you get $50. Show me another wallet, I'll give you $150 more. Wait, you got another one? What is it? What is this one doing over here? You got $200. There you are. $200, Joe, and I'll get the pizza. Thank you, Joe Vieira. All right. Well, good evening. My name is Monty Hall. You know, I've spent more than 11 years making deals with people. As a matter of fact, we just did our 3,000th show on Let's Make a Deal. And like most of you, I'm crazy about all kinds of television. I love to catch a good adventure and to laugh at a good comedy now and then. News, sports, dramas, documentaries, public affairs shows, I love them all. But ladies and gentlemen, though it may come to you as no surprise, I also love game shows. I love them because they're off the cuff, unrehearsed, and sometimes a little crazy, too. I love them because they make stars out of you, the people. All these games and quizzes and panel shows and audience participation shows, what makes them so popular? Why do the critics hate them so much? How did they start? How are the new ones created? And who watches them? And the question that most of you are dying to ask me right now, how do I get on one of them? Well, if you folks will excuse me, I'd like to answer those questions. So let me step out of my usual role as host of a game show and into a new role and a new setting and a new audience. Tonight, as we take an affectionate look at what makes audience participation shows what they are, you'll meet some of the biggest and brightest stars in America. Because in my humble opinion, there are no brighter stars than those that shine by day. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present you, the American people, and a host of other celebrities starring tonight in...
The Great American Game Show. With your host, Monty Hall, and starring in order of appearance, Betty White, Ralph Edwards, Art Linkletter, Bob Barker, Mark Goodson, and here he is now, Monty Hall.
Thank you and welcome, everyone. Now, before I go one step further, I want you to meet my co-host on the Great American Game Show. Now, she's here for three reasons. First, there's hardly a game show on the air she hasn't appeared on. Second, she's married to one of television's great MCs, Alan Ludden. And third, just because we love her, on the Mary Tyler Moore Show or wherever she happens to be. Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome, please, Miss Betty White. Betty, I don't think I was wrong about all the game shows and panel shows. You've done them practically all, haven't you?
Oh, I think just about all of them. Password, of course, and What's My Line, and Match Game, and Tattletales, and I've Got a Secret, and First Impressions, and Liar's Club, and To Tell the Truth. Am I repeating? It just goes on and on.
Is there anyone that you haven't done that you'd like to do?
Well, there's one that I've always wanted to do, and that's Let's Make a Deal, and I've never done it.
Well,
I mean, I've never been on the show.
Let me see now. You can't be the model because Carol Merrill's busy. You can't do the announcer's job because Jay Stewart's busy. And I'm not going to give up my job. So you could only be a contestant.
All right.
And since I know you, you can't be a contestant. But I'll let you play Let's Make a Deal right now, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll give you $100 if you've got an alarm clock in your pocketbook.
I don't even have a pocketbook.
That's why you've never been on Let's Make a Deal.
Even if I dress like a kangaroo, I could put the alarm clock in my pouch.
No, too late.
Seriously, I would like to talk to you about, with all the game shows on the air, why isn't there a female MC?
Why isn't there a female MC? That's a very good question. Right, but we're not going to answer that right now. We'll answer it later on in the show. But I think that we should start the story of the great American game show. Suppose we take a look at the United States and find out who really put game shows on the map. These southwestern states, if you please. That's it. May we have a close-up of New Mexico? Thank you. A little closer. As close as you can get. And there it is, Truth or Consequences, the show that put a town on the map and the show that put game shows on the map as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I present the man who is certainly the founding father of network game shows, the creator and original MC of Truth or Consequences, This Is Your Life, It Could Be You, Place the Face, and many other shows, and currently the executive producer of Name That Tune, Mr. Ralph Edwards. We have a classic routine from one of your early shows. I think you know about it. Would you set the situation up for us, please?
This is a situation where we chose a contestant right out of the audience, just as we still do today. And I told him that his consequence was to go out in the street, find a lady, and make her believe that he was Ralph Edwards, that he was I.
The year is 1951. The show is Truth or Consequences, and the MC is Ralph Edwards.
But you pretend you're Ralph Edwards, you know, and get in there like a master of ceremonies. Will you do that? Let's hear you say, hello there, you haven't told the truth, so you must pay the consequences. Hello there, you haven't told the truth yet. You can have the job right now. Go ahead. All right, go ahead. I'll be behind the screen. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, listen, has he got? He's going out onto Harold Way, but there's very little traffic. No pedestrian traffic at night on Harold Way, so that'll give us time to fix a little gag on good Mr. Allen here. Because the lady he's going to find and convince that he is Ralph Edwards won't be a lady at all. It'll be little old me. That's what it'll be. Come on, boys, help me change. Here you go. Take it away. I put on stockings beforehand. I don't normally wear those kind of stockings. See? Oh, I never felt so under. All right, now. Oh, what we girls have to go through with, huh, kids? All right. Now we go right into here. I got my... Oh, there we are. All right. Now, that's it. He's out there, you see. That's it. Tuck me. That's the stuff. Now, tip her. How many are on there now? All right. All right. Now, let's see. How are we doing? Okay. Oh, my. Say, be careful. Don't bring him in yet. Don't let me... Right here.
I truly believe that I've never been on the...
No, it's true for God. What's your step? Welcome to Truth or Consequences. I'm Ralph Edwards. How are you?
Fine.
And what are you doing here?
I just was out of the... Are you Ralph Edwards?
I'm Ralph Edwards.
Oh,
And what is your name?
I'm Mrs. Morris.
Mr. Morris. And what is your husband's name?
Mr. Morris.
Give me a question for this lady lovely, please. Give me a question for this lady please.
I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Well, when is it correct
I
to
didn't
say...
understand what you said.
Well, when is it correct to say I is?
Yeah. I heard you were a double, and I just don't understand. I am not a
Well, little lady, you haven't told the truth yet.
Yes.
So you'll have to...
You're not going to put me in jail.
No. You'll have to pay the consequences.
Is he? What?
You'll have to pay the consequences because you haven't told the truth. Now, do you dance a sambo?
I was... Sambo?
Sambo.
I don't believe you are Ralph Edwards at all. I don't believe you're Ralph Edwards. You know why I don't believe? You know why I don't believe you are Ralph Edwards? Why not? Because I'm Ralph Edwards myself. You don't look at him.
23 years ago, man.
More than that. Almost 24 years ago.
24?
Just as funny now as it was then.
Oh, golly.
That's got to be one of the funniest things you ever did.
Well, oh, my, we did a lot of them. No, that's just one of them. We could have, there were 5,000. Between Barker and I, we've done 5,000.
Anything else that you remember that was your favorite?
Oh, yeah, there are lots of them. We gave a guy a turkey dinner. That is, we sent him to Istanbul. There are a lot of them.
The way we know now about All in the Family giving birth to Maude, and then that was a spin-off, or the spin-off came from that for Good Times. Didn't you do that with Truth or Consequences and This Is Your Life?
Oh, yes. Of the 14 shows that I've had on national television, 9 of them have been spin-offs from Truth or Consequences. This Is Your Life.
Devil.
Betty, pardon me?
You're a prolific devil.
That's a whole other thing.
This Is Your Life was on radio and television for a total of 15 years. And coming up next, a moment from one of Ralph's classic shows. We'll be right back.
Hey, you're missing my garage sale. I'm still waxing. You wax every week. You're going to drown your furniture. It's the dust. Well, use Endust. Endust? I'll be right over. Watch. Endust picks up the dust and leaves the old wax looking like new. It really brightens, and it's faster than waxing. My garage sale.
Endust for between waxings. Faster for you, good for your furniture.
Imagine feeling so good in the morning when you had that headache last night. That's gentle Excedrin PM. Excedrin PM relieves the headache and its tension, helps you relax for a good night's sleep. So the next morning you should wake refreshed with no grogginess. Imagine feeling so good in the morning when you had that headache last night. That's Excedrin PM, the nighttime pain reliever. Imagine feeling so good in the morning.
It's talking.
It's funny what you hear when you listen to a bowl of Kellogg's Rice Krispies.
It's popping. It's making crackling noise. Pop, 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 pop. Like that.
Kellogg's Rice Krispies, the world's only talking cereal, and a crisp, nutritious part of your complete breakfast.
It's fun to put Snap, Crackle, Pop into your life. Listen for yourself.
You can hear it. You can see it. That annoying static cling. So try Cling Free. It's more convenient than washing machine fabric softeners because you just spray Cling Free in your dryer, where heat and tumbling release its softening ingredients to put in softness. Take out static cling. Each large can softens 65 dryer loads. Switch to Cling Free. Puts in softness. Takes out cling conveniently.
Welcome back to the Great American Game Show with my co-host Betty White and our first guest, Ralph Edwards. Ralph, I remember reading once that because of your tremendous success with the stories that you just told us, the Saturday Evening Post called you the king of the tearjerkers.
Sentiment is not a dirty word or anything like that. It's a very healthy part of not just our American way of life, but of all the world, as we've proven, because This Is Your Life is #1 in England and has been now for 5 years.
Well, that almost takes care of my... I was just going to ask you if you think times have changed, if you think the younger people are a little bit leery of all that sentiment.
Oh, I don't think so. Heart doesn't change. There's no boundary for love, let's say, or human understanding.
You talk about sentiment and love. We have a film clip of one of the great moments of This Is Your Life. You know the one I'm referring to, the one about the lady from Europe reconciling herself. Would you set the scene for us in this one?
This was a long time ago. We're going back to the beginning of This Is Your Life almost. This is the story of Hannah Block Kohner. Hannah and Walter Kohner Walter brought Hannah to the This Is Your Life studio. He was our confidant in this. And they had been sweethearts and were to be married in Czechoslovakia. She was a survivor of Hitler's purge of the German Jews.
No. I waited until the next day.
Very considerate.
You was. You were married on October 24th, 1945, in 3 separate ceremonies. At 11 a.m. by the Luxembourg civil authorities, at 1:30 p.m. by the American consul, and at 3 by a Jewish chaplain, with Walter's whole company of American soldiers kissing the bride.
You bet.
Your dreams come true at last. You sail for America in July of 1946.
Monty, like so many of the stories we told on This Is Your Life, the Hannah Koner story was filled with laughter, but of course it also had its share of tears as well. We spoke to Hannah about her coming to America, about her struggle to build a new life here, and of how she and her husband were saving every cent so that somehow, someday, Hannah might travel to the faraway state of Israel to see the brother she had last seen 10 years before in a Nazi concentration camp. And now, that impossible dream, that far-off reunion day was suddenly at hand, because right there on stage they were reunited. Godfrey.
This is my happiest day in all my life.
I can well imagine. Well, you build up a half hour to that, and you can imagine the
Everybody's
impact.
on the floor.
The United Jewish Appeal received thousands of dollars in that. Many of these things.
That was 1953, and it still puts your hair on edge.
It sure does. Ralph, did anybody ever discover ahead of time that you were going to be planning on doing his life?
Yes. Robert Young, Dr. Welby, getting on a plane in New York, the ad agency guy put him on as he was halfway up the stairs. He said, "Oh, Bob, see you Wednesday on This Is Your Life."
Oh.
He just froze, you know.
It's a kill.
But he got off the plane in Los Angeles, called me immediately and said, "Look, I know your integrity on this, so I know I'm to be honest." I said, "Thanks, we'll let you marinate."
Critics who take pot shots at the shows like yours, the heart show, the sentiment, and so on, they forget how much good the shows do, as well as how much happiness it brings to the audience and the people. But you raised $1 million with one message once.
That was Dr. Lawrence C. Jones. He was called the Little Professor of Piney Woods. A black teacher came down from Boston into the Piney Woods area of Mississippi, sat on a log, took the first little fellow that went by, started to teach him, the next little fellow, and so on. The parents would bring chickens, eggs, pigs, and help build the school until it became one of the largest and best institutions of its kind in training the black. We came onto the story when the little professor was getting along in years, and he worried about how he was going to finance, endow the school as it went along. So we did his life, bringing college presidents, heads of industry, all of these people who had gone through this country life school there in Piney Woods. And at the end, I said, the professor does have this worry, so just think, there are millions of you watching. If 1 million of you put a dollar in an envelope and send it to the little professor of Piney Woods in Piney Woods, Mississippi, maybe he could endow his school. And as if the good Lord ordained it, $1 million came in, $900,000 in cash and $100,000 in bonds. He has a glorious institution. He writes me all the time. There are 2 big new buildings. One they call the Ralph Edwards Administration Building, which I love. And he said he was going to retire. I said, "You'll never retire."
The story of the great American dream. Stay with us now, please, because in just a moment we're going to meet another pioneer game show superstar.
What you're about to see may cause you to change the antiperspirant you're now using. Introducing Ultraban Antiperspirant Lotion. It's
different.
It's true. This lotion smooth formula is different and really
Gentle.
But you want more than gentleness. You want it to be
Effective.
Well, Ultraban Lotion is effective. It'll help stop wetness better than any of these sprays, and it's
Long-lasting.
so switch to Ultraban Lotion because it is
Sensational.
I like wildflowers better than orchids, and I like picnics better than cocktail parties. And I shy away from anything that's flashy or plastic. That's just not me. And even though I was born with the world's dumbest hair, I wouldn't do anything about it if it weren't for nice and easy. It's the hair color that looks so healthy and natural. It lets me be me. If you say it sells the most, I guess that's why.
According to government statistics, what's a better value today than 5, 6, even 7 years ago? Color TV. For example, these RCA XL100s, super values during RCA Super Value Days. Like this XL100 console, now at super savings. Another exciting value, this XL100 portable. The great buys don't miss RCA Super Value Days.
At participating RCA dealers.
Honey, I'm home. Fresh coffee. Only half a cup?
You know caffeine's been getting to you, honey.
Yeah. If they can go to the moon, why can't someone make a coffee this rich without caffeine?
We did. Brim's richer in Colombian beans than the best-selling coffee in America.
Do you like it?
Are you kidding? This is terrific. Imagine coffee this good without caffeine. How about another cup of Brim?
Honey, you can have the whole pot.
Wide World in Concert. Tomorrow night from Hollywood's Aquarius Theater, it's Bobby Vinton, Earth, Wind, and Fire, triumvirate and Cool in the Gang. Next Tuesday on Wide World Mystery, Please Call It Murder, starring Bradford Tillman with Kathleen Widows and Janet Margolin. Then on Wednesday, it's Alan King Comedy in Las Vegas with Carol Channing, Myron Cohen, Toadie Field, Shecky Green, and many more top casino comics. Next Wednesday, Wide World Special. This portion of Wide World Special has been brought to you by N-Dust, the dust magnet that brings back the brightness so you can wax less often.
Well, Ralph and Betty, I think that it's about time.
Excuse me, Monty. 1 second before you introduce your new guest.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to you and to Ralph about this business of with all the game shows there are on, how come there are no women MCs?
A very good question, and we're going to get to that later on, Betty, I promise you. But right now, I want to turn back the clock. They tell me that some years ago, if you lived within 10 blocks of the old NBC studios here in Hollywood, you kept your doors locked and your shades down on one certain night of the week. Because if you dared to open the door, you might see an elephant in your driveway. And if you were silly enough to open your window, someone might just squirt you with a seltzer bottle. I'd like you all to meet the man responsible for striking such fear in the hearts of Hollywood. For 19 years on radio and television, he hosted the nighttime smash People Are Funny. For 25 years, he emceed the Emmy Award-winning daytime extravaganza called House Party. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Art Linkletter. Listen, Art, for those of our audience who might not know what I mean about striking fear in the hearts of Hollywood, you'd better explain.
Well, the characteristic stunt on People Are Funny every week was what we called our outside stunt, where a guest was selected and sent out of the studio at the beginning of the program to try some stunt and come back at the end of the program and either report on it or be shipped back via oxygen tent or ambulance or whatever happened to him out there. And we sent people out within a radius of 25 blocks. And poor old Irv Atkins had to be with them and get them back on time because we were on live. There was no cuts and delays. They had to do the stunt and get back. So we would send such things as a lady dressed as a bride rushing up to a door, knocking on the door and saying, "My fiancé has gone crazed with jealousy. Can you hide me?" So the people would say, "Well, yes, come in, get her under the bed." And a few minutes later, we had a great big bruiser bounding on the door to see if people would be good Samaritans. Or one time after Christmas, we took 300 old, used, unsold Christmas trees and carted them up to somebody's front lawn and parked them all over the lawn and knocked on the door, and they came rushing out. They said, "What is this? Get these off the place." And we said, "Well, we'll move them, but in one of them is a diamond ring." They said, "Don't move them." Or during the gasoline shortage, we lined up some of our own cars right along Sunset or Hollywood Boulevard there, Vine Street actually, and we stationed a cop about 50 yards up from the cars, and everybody was scrambling for gas. So we had a contestant go out with a hose and a can, and he's siphoning gas illegally out of cars, and people are going by. Nobody bothered to tell the cop.
All they had to do was to tell the cop there's a man down there stealing gas. Nobody did for two reasons, I think. First, they don't like to get involved in a fracas on the street, and secondly, everybody was sympathetic, and most of them were siphoning gas in their own neighborhoods. We discovered long ago how people react to every kind of a situation that you could confront them by, and occasionally we were sued, of course, by people for invasion of privacy. After all, when you open your own door to your own house and a guy says hello and shoves a llama or a kangaroo in, there are certain people who object to that. And so we did thousands of programs and exhausted every kind of a stunt. In fact, Ralph and I in those days used to be very alert competitors because he would steal my best stunts.
Oh, I see. What was the most spectacular stunt that you ever pulled on contestants?
Probably the most elaborate, the most costly, time-consuming, and every other factor you could think of was when we decided to steal somebody's house while they were away over the weekend and hide it.
Not bad.
The whole stunt cost us at least $75,000 to $100,000.
That's a lot.
And we promoted the house and promoted the car, but there are all the rest of the arrangements.
And they got a divorce.
Really? That was a very elaborate stunt.
Well, we've proved here today that Art Linkletter says the darndest things, but he proved on his show, House Party, when he had the kids, that kids say the darndest things, and we'll be back in a few moments to watch one of those great moments. We're back with Ralph Edwards, Betty White, and two other great guests, Bob Barker and Mark Goodson, when the Great American Game Show returns in a few moments.
Look at those CoverGirl eyes. It's the Do Everything Mascara, new long and lush.
It thickens. It lengthens. It separates.
It's smudge resistant.
And it comes with this great big plush brush.
CoverGirl Long and Lush, the Do Everything Mascara.
Eyes. Ooh, look at those CoverGirl eyes.
Look at your neighborhood Ralph's from the outside. It's usually bigger than other markets. That's why inside you can find so many more choices, more ways to save. Here are some of the super bargains you'll discover under Ralph's big roof this week. Super savings, super quality, super selection. Ralph's, it's like a market and a half.
The telephone. It comes in all sizes, colors, and combinations. If you're going to have one installed, find out what's available. There's a lot to choose from, so plan carefully. I'm a telephone service representative. Call me. I'll send you a free planning guide. It'll help you to get what you want the first time. We won't have to come back. When we don't have to come back a second time, you save $12.
Charlton Heston stars tomorrow at 3:30. Stay with us for the Great American Game Show with Monty Hall in just one moment.
Wide World Special will continue with the Great American Game Show following station identification.
Robert Blake stars as Beretta, premiering tomorrow at 10, 9 Central.
All right, class. Let's have no more static.
I'm getting enough static from this sore throat with my cold.
Now Joan really needs her Listerine lozenges for fast, effective sore throat pain relief. Tests show their special cooling ingredient gives a feeling of relief fast, and their medically proven anesthetic keeps on relieving sore throat pain. Listerine lozenges turn off the static of a sore throat fast.
And just that fast, I'm ready for my class again.
This is Don Rickles. Open this door.
This yo-yo's gonna wish he was still a mailboy.
Listen, pal, Your right-guard antiperspirant is wrecking my act.
Everyone knows I make a living insulting people. I make them sweat. But this hockey puck helps keep him dry with his right guard. With his super dry anti-stain formula. Right guard protects people from me.
Open up, you dummy.
I bet he sits there all day with his right guard going, "Sst, sst."
This is a coffee expert's coffee. For quality and value, buy from people who know coffee best. The experts at Safeway.
To make the freshest tasting salad, you use garden fresh vegetables and Great Beginnings salad dressing mix. With its bright blend of herbs and spices, Great Beginnings actually requires less vinegar than other leading brands. So your salad's just pick taste comes through. Great Beginnings with a genuine cut glass cruet. Because great is better than good.
When people eat Doritos brand tortilla chips, one good crunch leads to another. Try Doritos. They taste as good as they crunch. In toasted corn, taco, and nacho cheese flavors.
Welcome back to the Great American Game Show. I'm here with Betty White, Ralph Edwards, and Art Linkletter, and more guests to come, and more surprises, too. Art, when we were talking earlier, you told me that you estimated that you've interviewed about 25,000 people on the air. But I think that everybody remembers the way you interview and treat children.
The two best interviews are undoubtedly women over 70 and children under 10. And for the same reason, they're the only ones who tell you what they really think. The children under 10, of course, turned out to be the most delightful interviews in the world. And I did it for 25 years. And during that time, I imagine that at least 3,000 families moved away and relocated under other names. Because when you ask a 6-year-old child what's been doing around his house lately, he tells you.
He tells you.
Exactly.
I always shiver when somebody asks my little one something because they're so honest and so frank.
Matter of fact, the parents got very wary and after the first few weeks, and they began to brainwash the kids. We didn't tell the kids what to say, but parents told them what not to say. And the interviews were going downhill until I discovered a very sneaky, a very dirty, a very Machiavellian answer to the whole parental situation. When the child came on the show, I asked him, "What were you told not to say?"
We have one out of, I guess it's your book. You must have reported this particular story. Your book is one of the 15 best-selling books in American history. Kids Say the Darndest Things.
Yeah.
And we have a film clip here of one, and I'm sure you have hundreds of them, that you tell in this book. I love this child. It's a great moment from one of those interviews, and we're going to see it right now. Kids Say the Darndest.
Here's our next guest. What's your name?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. How old are you, Mike?
5 years old.
Okay. How old would you like to be?
15.
Why would you like to be 15?
So I can beat up my brother because he's always treating me like I'm a little rock or a chimp or a piece of truck.
Your old brother's treating you that way?
Yeah.
Well, how old is he right now, Michael?
17.
Oh, and if you were 15, you could beat him up?
Yeah.
Why does he suppose he treats you like an old rock?
I don't know.
Well, he must like you. He must just be teasing you.
He just throw me around like I'm a well-bound clock or something.
Boy, that's real rough. What's your dad do, Michael?
Well, he's a tire dealer.
He's tired?
He's a tire and tube repairman.
Oh, yeah. And your mother, Mike?
She's a songwriter.
Oh, has she written any songs?
Yeah.
What kind?
All kinds.
Like what?
Well, Western, love songs, blues, anything.
Blues songs. Did you ever sing any of those songs?
No.
Well, why not?
I never know any of them.
Why doesn't she teach them to you?
No, she just keep it a secret.
Oh, she's writing songs and she's keeping it a secret, huh? One more question, Mike. If you had one wish in the world, what would you wish for?
That my brother had a car.
Why?
Because he's always there bothering my parents and putting pressure on them to get him a car.
Putting pressure on him, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jackson and I are about to have a little adventure. Mike, you know what's going to happen?
What?
Are you interested?
No.
Well, you're not interested.
No.
But you'll try, won't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Mike, have you ever wrapped up anything?
No. Wow.
There's the paper, Michael.
You hold him?
Yeah, I'll hold him. Just grab the big paper up. I'm going to take the big paper. That's it.
He's a million boy.
He's a what?
A big guy, I think.
Now, we want to wrap him up real nice, don't we?
Wrap it up real nice, okay.
What are you looking for? The ribbon? Here. I'll hold him around this side. Where are you, Mike? Come on in here. Right in here. Huh?
Oh,
What?
the big package. Wow. You want his head to be out?
Hold it.
Hey, hold him. Hold him. You want him to get away? Hey, you hold that. Whoa.
Let's give it up as a bum job, shall we?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm giving up.
All right.
I love it. I am such a sucker for things like that. That's beautiful. I just love that moment. And you know, Art, you're wonderful with kids. I think that all the good MCs are wonderful with people. Ralph, you know about handling people. You always knew about handling people. I hope that I can do it on my show. That's what I think is the strongest point I've got, is the fact that I like people. And that's what really angers me when I read something, and I brought this clip along too, because Time Magazine had a quotation. Time Magazine could be the Wall Street Journal, it's all of them. They all take a pot shot. And this quotation comes on strong. On through the day came a succession of dazzle-dentured, sharp-suited MCs attempting to smother their contempt for their work and their contestants under a line of chatter as false as a roofing salesman's promises. Now, a critic wrote that for Time Magazine recently, and it really burns me, because if you didn't have that empathy, you couldn't do what you did so well.
You certainly couldn't do it year after year and live with yourself, because as you do your shows every day and every week, unguarded moments, unrehearsed events, spontaneous remarks cannot hide how you really feel. Who you are and what you are comes out much more than as an actor, because you must react quickly and make value judgments as to what is said and done. And those things reveal every MC, whether he likes people, whether he likes his job, and whether he is saying what he believes. And I think those of us who have lasted certainly must have had something real, and we're, of course, occasionally guilty of bad taste. We're occasionally guilty of making a mistake. When you're winging as many things as we do, you occasionally hurt somebody's feelings. You got to learn how to back off.
But did you ever have contempt for your people?
Never. I always enjoyed, because, you know, like so many of us who handle people, we're constantly amazed. In fact, the word "people are funny" doesn't necessarily mean people are funny, ha-ha. People are amazing. They're delightful.
Well, we'll be back with Art Linkletter, Ralph Edwards, Betty White, Bob Barker, and Mark Dixon right after these words.
My appetite doesn't wake up till I'm on the job. Then I need my breakfast. So I eat breakfast squares.
I wake up starved, but late. With breakfast squares, I don't go hungry.
I just like a little something with my coffee, and breakfast squares is a little something, nourishing.
Breakfast Squares, a complete light meal in 2 frosted bars. 4 flavors, ready to eat.
Don't let a busy world beat you out of a good breakfast now that there's breakfast squares.
The one thing I've always missed when I've come home from Europe are their deliciously different coffees. But now we can enjoy these coffee flavors right at home with General Foods International Coffees. This is Café au lait with a smooth French roast flavor. Swiss mocha, a chocolate-flavored delight. And Café Vienna with a touch of cinnamon. The flavor of Europe. It's so nice to come home to.
General Foods International Coffees. We brought the flavor home.
Hi, dear.
Aunt Bluebell, now don't try to sell me because there's really no difference between paper towels.
With Scott towels, you can weigh the difference.
Oh, really?
Look, this paper towel and the same size roll of Scott towels.
It's heavier?
20% heavier. Heaviest roll you can buy.
I give up. You sold me.
You waited for yourself, honey.
I finally got to sleep. My cough didn't keep me awake. What was the name of that cough medicine you gave me? Helen, it worked. Tell me the name.
Briacol cough medicine has what it takes to help you through the night. One of the strongest cough suppressants you can get. And because a stuffed-up nose also makes it hard to get to sleep, Briacol also has neosynephrine to help you breathe easier.
Briacol.
Briacol has what it takes to help you through the night.
Welcome back to the Great American Game Show. Now, these days, Ralph, and to some extent Art, are behind the scenes. But my next guest is an on-the-air performer and a star twice over. He's a bridge between the past and the present. And Ralph Edwards can tell you why, because back in 1956, Ralph was riding in his car one day when he heard this voice on the radio.
I'm coming up into the audience now and find the most middle-aged lady in the audience. The average lifespan.
Ralph had auditioned dozens of men to take over his MC duties on Truth or Consequences, but that voice ended the search. He had found his man. And now, 18 successful years later, meet the man behind the voice, the host of both Truth or Consequences and The Price is Right, Bob Barker. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Thank you. I've seen what's behind door number 3. I want to trade for door number 1.
You'll get your chance. You may get your chance. You know, in an article that you wrote for the Hollywood Reporter not so long ago, you said, and I quote, most of daytime television and much of early evening television are devoted to game shows, and there's only one reason for it. What's the reason?
People love games. Now, we start playing games as children. We play games as adolescents. We play games as adults. We play games at home. We play games at parties. We play games in cars. Some of the most fun of all are the games in cars. We play games in airplanes. We join clubs to play games. People love games.
Why is it that critics hate the game shows so much? I mean, they lacerate game shows. Time magazine, I read you one excerpt. As a matter of fact, they said something about you. Do you remember the exact quote?
I certainly do. The Time magazine described me as a well-dressed humanoid. Well, my tailor thought it was a very, very good article. He says, Bob, why would you complain about that? That's a marvelous article.
There's a good deal of supercilious intellectual snobism on the staff of Time magazine. These people are living up in an ivory tower. And they are so busy looking at the world and deciding what is good and what is bad that they become godlike in their feelings of being over all the things that are human and natural. And I would like to say, as a person who has been speared a few times by these humanoids at Time, that...
They're not even well dressed.
They aren't. They look like slobs. I know some. They love to write, for instance... here is an author of a non-book. That's what they write about me. I write all non-books. They look like books, but they're non-books.
There are millions of non-people.
Except there are millions of people who buy them and seem to enjoy them. Yeah. And so I think that those kinds of people who live and work in places like Time are to be forgiven and somewhat pitied because they have gotten out of the stream of human people and they're living on Mount Olympus, and it would happen probably to you and me if we worked there.
You know how many times newspaper men have taken me over the coals, and yourself, I suppose, and then after they're finished doing that, then they'll sort of cozy up to me and say, how do I get on your show? However, I don't think there's any purpose being served here beyond that. I wanted to get the point across. I would have enjoyed a full discussion with critics here present, and I couldn't get them on the show. Then they'd have had equal time. So I think we'll drop that particular subject, because I think that human beings are the topic for discussion. We deal with them on our game shows and so on. You never know what's going to happen. I understand something happened to you recently on The New Price is Right. You have a film clip of that with you.
I do indeed.
What happened?
On Price is Right. Now, this film clip, I think, will show you that big prizes are important on Price is Right, of course, and our pricing games are important. But people are very important, and the personality of a contestant or someone in the studio audience can be a highlight of a show or of a week. And I have a clip here that's nothing more than an interview with a young fellow from Canada who was married in the last couple of weeks and came down to Los Angeles. And I think you're going to enjoy meeting him.
All right, then, without further ado, let's see Bob Barker in action with this young Canadian on The Price is Right.
Something that ended up down here. What do you do?
I'm working for Rutherford Laughing in about 4 days. Just got here from Canada.
I don't know one word you said, Joseph. I think I better have another drink of that. What did you say?
I'm working for Rutherford Laughing in about 4 days. I just got up from Canada a little while ago and just got married.
You just got married and you just got here from Canada. Now, you worked for what?
I will be working for Rutherford Laughing in a few days. I have to.
Well, since it's only a 30-minute show, I'm not going to try to find out what you do, Joseph. What do you do when you do it for whomever you do it?
I'm working for the ball boarding.
I think this kid is putting me on, you know? You're a double talk person, is what you're doing. No, you work for whom?
Rutherford Laughing. I'll be working with Chip Rock and as an apprentice.
You know, now listen, Darryl, I'm beginning to worry about myself. Do you know what he said? No. You do? Now, let's just start all over. Now, you see, you've just arrived in contestant's row. You're a nice-looking young guy. Your name is Joseph. Joseph, what do you do?
Nothing at present time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Barker is going to our audience during the next commercial break, and he's going to select 4 players, just as he does on his show, to join him reenacting one of the classic moments from Truth or Consequences, and we'll see that happen right after these commercial breaks.
Nice little apartment, huh? Larson's moved out yesterday. Somebody else wants to see it tonight. One big problem, though.
Well, we're back to the Great American Game Show, and now we're ready for Bob Barker and Truth or Consequences.
Right. I have 4 contestants from our studio audience, and your name is?
Margaret Hannah.
Margaret Hannah.
Adriana Bruff.
And?
Kay Weiler.
And down here?
Alana Whitty.
Now, girls, on Truth or Consequences, we sometimes do terrible things to people. But as Monty Hall's guest on this marvelous show, I wanted to do something nice. So I want to present each of you with a gift. That's all. Just a nice gift for each of you. But rather than just stand here and hand it to you, that's kind of dull, isn't it, Margaret?
Right.
You like surprises, don't you? Don't you like surprises, Adriana? How about you? Yes. Alana?
Yes.
All right. May I have the boxes out here, please? I have 4 boxes on this table. Now, there is a round hole on the top of each box, as you can plainly see there at home. That hole is covered with tissue paper. Why? Because we'll put the gifts in the boxes, and then each of you can just reach in and pull out your own gift. Won't that be fun, Margaret?
Yes.
Yes, it will. Now, Monty has some gifts over here. What's the first gift that you have there, Monty?
Well, I have a toaster here.
All right. Now, girls, I want you to turn your backs and close your eyes so you won't know where the toaster is. Monty's putting the toaster in one of the boxes. You see, you'd like a toaster, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you like a toaster?
Love it.
Sure you would. All right, turn around again now. And, Monty, dig in there and see what else you have in the
Oh,
box.
a very nice touch lamp here.
Touch lamp. Put that in one of the boxes. Turn around and close your eyes. Margaret, wouldn't you like a lamp?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Have you ever won a prize?
No.
Well, you're going to get one now, I'll tell you. All right, turn around here now, girls. There are 2 prizes in 2 of the boxes, but we have another prize coming up, don't we?
Beautiful wristwatch.
A wristwatch. Turn around, girls, and close your eyes. What'd you say, Alana?
Mine's on the blink.
Good. You could use a new watch, couldn't you? Would you like a new watch?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, now turn around, girls. I've shown you a wristwatch, I've shown you a lamp, and I've shown you a toaster. They're in 3 of the boxes, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of you, aren't there? So we need another gift, don't we? We wouldn't want someone to go home without a gift, would we, Alana?
Not me.
Would we,
Not
Kay?
me.
No, would we, Adriana? Would we, Mark? Of course not. We've saved the most exciting gift for last, a great big live white rat. Turn around and close your eyes. And, Monty, will you please put the white rat in the 4th box? Isn't this fun, Alana?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Now, turn around now. And this is what we're going to do. It's all for one. I beg your pardon?
It's a bite.
Well, it bit one gentleman at the rehearsal. Monty, the fellow the rat bit in rehearsal's all right, though, isn't he?
We took him away. He's all right now. He's got coverage. Everything's okay.
Okay, fine. And now, let me explain how we play this game. This is all for one and one for all. Each of you must reach into one of the boxes and pull out a prize. And then each of you keeps your prize. But if one of you will not reach into the box and pull out your prize, then no one gets a prize, and we don't want that, do we?
No.
No, we don't. Now, you didn't seem to be at all afraid, were you?
No.
Fine. You step up here, and we'll have you reach in this box right here. Now, don't break the paper and peek in there. Just reach in and pull out the prize. Go ahead, Adriana. Yes. Now, don't break the paper and peek in there. I told you couldn't do that. We must follow the rules, right, Adriana?
Right.
All right, now, when you reach in that box, you reach in there and pull it out. Now, go ahead. You're a big, strong girl. Get that prize. What'd you get? Oh, you got the lamp. Fine, all right. Put the box, just go right there. That's fine. You take the lamp, and you step right over here, Adriana. And now, would you like to go next? Well, we'll let you wait for just a moment. Margaret, you step up here. And, Margaret, I think I'll have... Well, let's just finish it off down here. I want you to reach in there and pull... What would you like to win?
The watch.
The watch? Well, let's hope it's in there. Reach in there and pull it out. What did you get? What'd you get? Oh, you got the toaster. Fine. Pull out the toaster. And you step over here. Right here. That's fine. Now let's review here. Let's see. You got the toaster, and you got the lamp, which means that we still have the wristwatch and the rat, don't we? Yes. And, Alana, how about you next? What'd you say?
Nothing.
All right, you step up here. Now, you step right up here, and I'm going to have you reach in this box. Now, you know what I want you to do. I don't want you to break the paper and peek around in there or anything like that. I want the rat to have, I beg your pardon, I want whatever's in there to have as good a chance as you have. You reach in and you pull it out. Get it! Reach in and grab it. What is it? What is it?
I don't know.
Well, bring it out. Oh, you got the watch! Now, you got the toaster, and you have the lamp, and you have the watch, and that brings me to you, Kay. Yeah. Now, we know the rules of the game, don't we, Kay? What'd you say?
I don't know if I want to be...
Well, now, it's all for one and one for all, isn't it?
Is it?
Yes. Now, Margaret has the toaster. You don't want Margaret to lose the toaster, do you?
No.
No. And you don't want Adriana to lose her lamp there, do you?
No.
No. And you don't want little Lana to lose the watch.
No.
No. So you're going to reach in there and get that rat, aren't you?
I don't know.
What?
Do I have to?
Well, of course you have to. You raised your hand up in the audience, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know I was raising a bar rat.
Well, Now, why don't you put your ear down there and listen, and maybe you can hear him, and if you could figure out where he is in the box, maybe you could get him before he gets you. Huh? Turn your head over there. That's right. Now, listen. Can you hear him in there any place? Can you hear him?
I can hear something.
Can you hear him in there? All right. Where did it sound like he was?
On that side.
All right, then why don't you go in at an angle, see, and get that rat. And as you get him, say, I got your rat. Let me hear you say that.
I got your rat.
Okay. Now, put your hand up here. 1, 2... Did he pinch you? Did you pinch that girl? I want you to know. Listen, I am not, that is no part of my act. I'm not responsible for that. When I do that, he made his own deal then, I'll tell you. Money pinched you. That was awful, wasn't it?
That was.
Yes. Now, we're going to go in there at an angle, and we're going to get that rat, aren't we? All right, get your hand up there, and I'll count for you. 1, 2, 3, go. Well, now, that's all right. We'll count again.
Okay.
All right, you tell me when you want me to start counting.
All right. 1.
No, you see, I'll count. I'm Bob, and you're Kate. You tell me when, and then I'll say the 1, 2, 3.
All right.
1, 2, 3, go! Get going now. Don't peek in there. I told you, don't peek. Reach it. Did you
I
peek?
didn't peek.
Well, what do you mean you didn't peek? There's hardly any paper left. Now, put that over there. Now, you reach in there and grab it. You don't want Margaret to lose a toaster, do you? No.
Okay, I'll grab it.
Grab it. You can do it. Get it, grab it. It's a play rat, see? Look, she thinks she's bitten here. She's showing me the blood. He got me, Bob, right there. You see, he bit me. See, it's a play rat. I would never put the real rat in there, but just remember, in the years to come, when you're on this show, Bob Barker did not put the real rat in the box, but Monty Hall did pinch you. Remember that? Well, thank you. Now, wait, come on. Monty, you have a gift for her. Monty has a gift for her.
There's a digital clock radio and the clock and the radio to go along with it.
There you go.
Thank you
Now,
very much.
nice hand for all 4 of these ladies. Please. Monty, thank you very much for helping me.
Thank you, Bob. That was great. Oh, that's funny. And it always works, doesn't it? I enjoyed that myself. You know, Bob has 2 bosses. The one we've been talking about right here is Ralph Edwards, the head man on Truth or Consequences, and then there's the boss on The Price is Right, and that's a gentleman that you're going to meet next. Well, he also happens to be Alan Ludden's boss on Password, Jack Nars's boss on Now You See It, Gene Rayburn's boss on Match Game 74, and on and on and on. Because now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to meet the genius who has created and produced more great panel, game, and quiz shows than anyone in the history of television, Mr. Mark Goodson. I guess you know everybody around this panel, and I think that you met Art Linkletter at a...
Do you know where I met you first, Art?
If I can recall that far back, it was in San Francisco.
That's right. I tell you where it was. You were doing an MC job at a show called the World's Fair Party in 1939. I was an announcer at KFRC in San Francisco, the same station that Ralph had been at some time before. You would come up, was it San Diego? Right? And you would interview people, and I'd go out as an announcer and find you contestants. Right?
That's right.
And I once went out, and after a while I got kind of dull just finding contestants, so I found a little Cockney sailor, and as I came up, I imitated his accent. I got a laugh, and when the show was over, you beckoned me backstage and said, I'm the comic on the show.
I remember you now, Mark. Whatever became of you?
Well, folks, we'll be back in just a moment to find out what became of Mark Goodson. When we start reciting the names of all the shows that he's put on television, I'll bet you he can't even name them all. We'll be back to find out right after this.
What? And there are 10 blue gunkies under the table. Did you know that? Waiting to steal your sauce. Nothing's going to take your mind off that tomato sauce and that spaghetti, right? All right, blue gunkies, back in the bus.
When it comes to picking tomato sauce, Mother really does know best.
Hi, dear. And Bluebell's here.
Oh, that's okay. I use this brand.
Oh, and there's such a difference.
Really?
You can weigh the difference. Look, your towel and the same size roll of Scott towels.
Scott towels is heavier.
20% heavier. You can't buy a heavier roll.
It is heavier.
Heavy paper for heavy work.
I'll buy that.
Weigh it for yourself, honey.
Following station identification. Watch Kolchak the Night Stalker in its new time tomorrow at 8, 7 Central.
Today is the day to ask your hands if you should switch to Vaseline Intensive Care Lotion. Ask which makes them feel better, your hand lotion or Vaseline Intensive Care. Feel Vaseline Intensive Care Lotion go to work to soften and heal rough, dry skin. Smooth. Ask your hands, isn't today the day to switch to Vaseline Intensive Care Lotion? You can feel it heal rough, dry hands.
When you compare values, remember, all those features are standard on this all-new Toyota Corolla. Still, it's the lowest priced car in America. So if you missed any, we'll do it again. Now, if you still missed something, just get this book, The Small Car Bargain Hunter's Guide. It's free at your Toyota dealers. Compare. Then you can't miss.
Levitt's big pre-inventory sale. Hundreds of famous brand furniture items on sale now. Don't miss your chance to really save.
You love it at Levitt's. Charlton Heston stars tomorrow at 3:30.
Well, the Great American Game Show is not a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production, even though you saw that card on the screen, but lots of other shows are. And you can see that Goodson-Todman trademark 41 times every week on 9 different half-hour series. And this gentleman is Mark Goodson, the man behind so many game shows since 1946. I don't think even you, Mark, could name them all. I have a list here of the shows that you have on the air, and I defy you to name them all.
Are you serious about it?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to mark them
I
off.
usually consider this bad luck, but I'll try. Well, in New York, we have What's My Line and To Tell the Truth, right?
Right.
Out of California, we're now doing Password, which is now going to be called Password All-Stars, revised format, plug, on ABC. Then we're doing Concentration. We're doing Match Game, Tattletales, Now You See It, and something's missing here. Price is Right.
I was going to say, all the shows to forget.
That's not bad, Mark. 8 out of 9.
Did I miss one?
You missed one.
I can't believe it.
Right?
What did I miss?
You got 30 seconds to do this one in.
I can't believe I
You
missed
have
it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
I can't
5.
believe I missed it.
You didn't beat the clock.
Oh, that's not on now. It's all right.
Oh, it's not on
No,
now?
Beat the Clock is no longer being produced, so I left it out there.
Oh, I see. He just talks about the stuff that goes to the bank.
That's right.
All right. Everybody invents a game show. I don't care what you are, your second business is television, game shows. Well, I had this classic story. A man came to see me one day. He was a friend of my dentist's. He was another dentist.
Dentists are very good at games.
Yes.
They're always looking
Well, this dentist came to see me one day at our office. We were in Burbank at that time, and I always tell this story. And he said, I have this great show, and I want to show it to you. And I'm very serious. I said, well, we don't usually listen to outside things, but what have you got? He said, well, I have these 4 contestants, and they're celebrities, and there's an MC. And somebody comes in, and he whispers into the MC's ear, and what he whispers is the kind of work that he does. That's unusual. And then the panel has to decide what it is he does. And I said, yes. He says, well, that's it. I said, you're kidding. He said, no, that's it. I said, does Mark Goodson know about you? I said, because you've just described What's My Line. It's been on the air about 18 years. And he looked at me and says, the hell you say? He was so angry at me, and as I led him to the door, he was muttering and fuming. 18 years had been on the air, and this man just created the show.
And he filed suit last week.
And he filed suit, as they always do. This is your chance. You want to ask the question? Now's the time to ask the question.
Well, we've been kicking around a question since earlier on this evening, Mark, about another innovation. What do you think about women MCs for game shows?
Actually, I think it's coming. I think that with all, I think that it's not been done up to now. We have tried, as you know, a couple of times. There's been enormous prejudice, and there are problems, as you know, with women being hosts, partly because the person in charge has got to be in charge without seeming, that sounds terrible, shrill, and sometimes ladies who take over can sound that way, but I think that it's absolutely going to be coming up very soon.
Did you ever have a chance to?
Mark Goodson, several years ago, was kind enough to think of me for a show called Get the Message. And, oh, I wanted that job so much. And I did several run-throughs, and it didn't work. Lap dissolved till several years later. Jack Barry really wanted me to do the MC job on Hollywood's Talking. So he would put me through all kinds of run-throughs in the office. Finally convinced the network to do the pilot with me as the MC, but they said, providing you will do another pilot at the same time with a man, so that we get a man and a woman doing the same show. So we did. We did 2 pilots. Al Lohman did the other one. And they both went well, but that night, everybody was very excited about finally the breakthrough. The gal was going to be the MC. And we went out to dinner. I thought I had a job. I really did. And the next day, I thought I had a job. And then they sent it out for testing. And I tested well personally, and they liked other things that I had done, but they did not want to see me in that position. So Jeff Edwards came in and got the show. And you know, that show went off in 13 weeks. And if I had, and I wanted it badly, but if I had gotten that job, you never would have convinced me particularly, let alone the rest of the world, that it wasn't because I had done it.
I'd give you confidence. Get the Message. The show that you didn't do went off in 26 weeks, too. So lap dissolved backwards, you're lucky.
But if you want to be an MC, now, I have a marvelous idea for a new show that you could MC. You have 4 celebrities, and you try to figure out the occupation of a guest who comes in.
Listen, but you know what? The bottom line of the whole thing is I don't think, and I'm going to really get shaken by my sisters out there, I don't think women belong as MCs of game shows. I really don't, for the very reason that Mark mentioned. It's not that they can't do it, but the sound of that voice, an MC has to talk a lot. But you can't get preoccupied and do something because it's nice for the camera. You're so involved in that game that you forget about the camera.
That's right.
Well, on one of Mark's shows recently, Tattletales, my wife and I appeared together. And we got into a situation on that show. The argument lasted for a month afterwards. You know, you talk about being involved. No, she's still my present wife, and we're going back on again. Because we just reconciled. No, but really, you know, we've been married forever. And I thought I knew this woman inside out. And every time a question came up, I said, well, Marilyn is going to say this. She said the complete opposite. And I didn't have time to think that this is Monty Hall in the show. I was being her husband.
Ludden and White, married 11 and a half, didn't answer one question right.
Yeah. What makes a good contestant away from the celebrity?
What makes a good contestant?
An ideal contestant for your show.
Bob Barker could answer that better than I could. I would say a contestant has to have enough intelligence to play the particular game involved. Above all, has to be someone who's extroverted and who enjoys being looked at, because if he's tied up and introverted, it won't work. And to the degree to which that person has characteristics about him or his or her background that will make the audience like him, that person is a better contestant. So ideally, I suppose, a girl who is 4 months pregnant, who is from the South, who talks a lot, and who's helping her husband work his way through medical school would be ideal.
You could cast for that if you can find it. I remember Steve Hatos telling me that on It Could Be You, the best contestants he ever had were Italian guests, because they had such emotion. They let it all out, and they don't hold anything back.
Well, the Italians are great reactors.
They were your best.
One of my most memorable contestants was a nice, plump Italian lady in the audience who was to win a trip back to Italy, to her home city. And when she won it, she kissed me, she cried, she talked about her home, where she'd left as a child, and so forth. Backstage, I said to her, now you realize she's still going on. I said, you realize, of course, You either get the ticket or you get the money. She says, I get the money.
I suppose that most people, everyone that I meet, one time or another says, how do I be a contestant on this show or that show? But very few people get the opportunity. So, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, we'll show you how one woman did it. Her story could be your story. So you watch. We'll be right back.
This is Orville, Ohio. We're just a little town with kids ankle-deep in daydreams. Nice family town where lots of folks work for Smuckers, the jelly people. You just know people who live, play, and work like this have to make a good product.
And with a name like Smuckers, it has to be good. It has to be good.
This little calculator is a very good buy at under $20. Our Mini 8 is a terrific buy at under $20. Notice our well-spaced keyboard. Compare our large, easy-to-read display. Ours adds, subtracts, multiplies, divides, has clear entry and K-constant functions with algebraic logic, zero suppression, floating decimal, and overflow indicator, complete with batteries and carrying case. A splendid gift, just $19.99, Saturday at the Akron.
With the way prices are going up, all of us at Kentucky Fried Chicken thought you might like a little help with your food budget. So we're having a $1 sale. You get 2 pieces of Kentucky Fried Chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, coleslaw, and a fresh roll. A complete filling meal, all for only $1. Or to put it another way,
$1 sale on right now.
It's Sears' big 19-inch screen, picture-perfect, 100% solid-state portable color TV. And it's a big, big value. Actually, it's Sears' lowest price ever, just $274. That's right, this is Sears, and Sears says you can buy this big picture, 19-inch, 100% solid-state color TV for just $274. Again, that's our lowest price ever. Buy it today, take it home today, and enjoy exciting color TV tonight. Remember, when you head for Sears, you're headed for savings.
Tonight, we've met the stars of the game show business. What's it like to get on a game show? How do you do it? Well, we'd like you to meet someone right here in our audience who can tell you firsthand. So say hello to the star and champion of an American game show, Mrs. Joan Diaz. Hi, Joan.
Hi.
And this is your husband beside you?
Yes.
Mr. Diaz. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever else Joan is, this slightly nervous, soft-spoken mother, working woman, also happens to be a killer. In 6 different appearances on our ABC television quiz show Split Second, Joan Diaz was tougher, faster, and smarter than anyone or anything they threw against her. So, let me ask you, how would you like to do what Joan did, huh? You'd like that very much. Well, each game show has its own way of finding players, but since Joan's story is kind of typical, let's reenact it for you right now. How did it all start?
Well, I just wrote in for tickets, came down and saw the show. After the taping, they passed out applications for anyone who was interested, filled out an application. We had a personal interview there in the studio with the contestant coordinator who set up an appointment to come in the office for testing.
Afternoon. Hi, I'm Joan Diaz. Hi, Joan. Let me give you our written test and a pen. Make yourself comfortable. Guess on any of the questions if you're not sure of them, and good luck. Thank you.
Now, this particular test consists of 12 general information questions. Joan answers them, and then minutes later, she and 2 other applicants are seated before one of the contestant coordinators.
Okay, congratulations. You've passed our written test. My name is Michael Cole, and I'm one of the contestant coordinators on the show. It becomes my job to find out how up and fun and exciting you are, because that's very important for any game show. Also, though, we need to find out how fast you are, because outside of giving right answers on our show, speed is the most important thing. You have less than 2.5 seconds on the air in which to give an answer, which is not a lot of time. So we're going to play a quick little game with you. But first, let me remind you that you must ring in before you give an answer, and be sure and ring in for second place. Okay, here we go now. Look at the board. Muskox, tiger, and gorilla. Match these animals with their native continents. Tony?
Tiger, Asia.
Joan?
Gorilla, Africa.
Right. And Karen?
Muskox, Asia.
Wrong. Muskox is North America. Music.
More questions are asked until the contestant coordinator is satisfied that each prospective player has done his best. When the test is over, perhaps none of them have passed it, or only one of them, or all of them. If this seems like a ruthless way of doing things, isn't it better to create a small frustration in the privacy of an office than to make someone feel embarrassed before millions of viewers? In this particular case, Joan and both her opponents have passed the test. Each of them will be brought back separately to meet two new opponents at the final office test. These three potential players will face the entire contestant staff in a full-scale run-through that duplicates almost all the demands of playing the game on the air. One of the staff keeps score, one contestant coordinator keeps time and watches the players, and the other acts as the MC.
Welcome to Split Second. Before we begin this first round, I want to remind you that in this first round, you get $25 for a single correct answer. Two of you are correct, you each get $10, and if all three of you are correct, you each get $5. Today, it's only pretend money, though. I wish you a lot of luck and have fun.
And so the battle is on. 20 minutes of tough questions and grueling competition. When it's all over and the players have left the room, the contestant staff discusses their merits as people and as competitors. As before, perhaps none of them will meet the standard, or perhaps all of them will.
Well, let's find out.
Hi. Congratulations. That was a terrific game. That's just what we're looking for. You all three made it. So what happens now?
Days pass, sometimes weeks, and then Joan Diaz was told, come on down to the studio on Friday, you've been chosen. So for this recreation, Joan sat with a group of future contestants assembled in a closely guarded area backstage to hear the first of a long list of instructions.
Rehearsal on the set so that you can get used to the props on the set and that so we can see how you do under studio conditions. I want to go into security right away. Everybody is under security, which means you cannot leave these rooms without being escorted by one of the contestant staff. This is because people who work with the cars, who work with the special props, and who work with the questions are wandering around, and you can't have any prior communication with them, needless to say. So do always stick together. Don't wander off by yourself. There will be 2 pages posted at either end of the contestant area to see that this policy is strictly enforced. So do always stick together. Now, before we go into my briefing of the rules, why don't we relax a little bit and have some lunch?
You may wonder why we talk so much about security. Why does a game need security? I'll tell you. Some of you may be too young to remember, and some of you may have forgotten. But 16 years ago, back in 1958, we had what is still referred to as the TV quiz scandals. And here's what those scandals were all about. On certain quiz shows with big money prizes, some contestants were allegedly tipped off. In other words, when they were asked certain questions, they knew the answers, because someone reportedly had given them those answers. Why was this done? Well, I suppose to get more winners, to make the shows more exciting, to boost the ratings, any one of a dozen reasons. I guess if you were doing a show called, let's say, the $1 Million Money Bag, and you wanted someone to be smart enough to win that money bag once in a while, and giving out a few answers seemed to be a way of doing that. Well, my friends, the entertainment business is no worse or better than any other business. We've had scandals in the baseball, basketball, and football business, but we haven't outlawed professional sports. And we haven't outlawed art galleries just because a fake Picasso was found hanging next to a real one. And ladies and gentlemen, we haven't outlawed quiz shows and game shows either. What we have done is we've cleaned house. Thanks to our own standards and the strictest possible network security supervision, these shows are as honest as all of us want them to be. They've stayed on the air because you like them there, and because they're a special kind of entertainment that comes from the very roots of the American people. They're thrilling, they're funny, they're educational, they're honest family entertainment, and that's the way they're going to stay. And now for the happy ending. A few minutes ago, we left Joan Diaz in that contestant briefing room. When she was chosen to play her first game on Split Second, she never dreamed that she'd go on to win that game, and another game the next day, and again on a third and a fourth day, with this exciting result. And here she is with MC Tom Kennedy.
Time to track up here, or will it not?
All right, young lady. We have $600 that goes with it if that motor starts. Turn the key. You got it. That's it. Now turn the key. All the stuff. So you won't drive out of your video. Here it comes. Oh, Deal's family, Jack.
So you want a new car worth almost $5,000? And over $2,000 in cash, but that wasn't the end of it there, was it?
No. Completely out of the blue one day, I got a phone call about 6 months after that from the staff and said they were putting together around the world a championship.
The tears are still coming, aren't they?
Yeah. A week of shows. And they were inviting back 12 former champions that had been on. And instead of a car this time, the grand prize was the $10,000 trip around the world.
Joan.
Rose's turn, Gypsy.
That is correct. 1 will do it for Joe. 2 for Gary and 5 for Dale. Look at the board. August 1, 1876. January 9, 1788. September 9, 1850. These are the dates on which 3 states whose names begin with the letter C entered the Union, Joan.
August 1st, 1876, Colorado.
You've won the game, Joan. Do it.
But winning that game with an additional $665 wasn't quite the end. There was a prize, too, a prize that you shared with your husband and 4 children. And let's relive that moment once again.
Jack, all right, you've got your tickets and you have your trophy. There's only one other thing. There's only one other thing I can possibly think of, and I have it. To make that trip just about perfect, here is just a little mad money for you. Please accept with our this check for $5,000. There you are. You're more than welcome.
And there it is. There it is, America, a working wife with 4 kids and a high school education. She became a game show star. Maybe you can, too. Write to the shows that you like best. Find out how you can try out. They'll be glad to hear from you, I promise. Joan, thanks for helping retell the story.
Farmers come to sell me fruit. I say, hold it. Is it fresh? I sniff. Check the color. Look, if it isn't fresh, I'm out of business.
My husband buys fresh fruit. I buy fresh bread. How? By squeezing. See? That's freshness. If it isn't fresh, I'm out of business.
Wonder bakes for freshness. Try the fresh taste of Wonder English muffins, too. At Wonder, if it isn't fresh,
We're out of business.
Scirocco! Scirocco!
Scirocco, a hot wind from the Sahara. Scirocco, a hot car from Volkswagen. As swift and powerful as the wind it's named after. Scirocco, with front-wheel drive that handles like nothing you've ever driven before. And Scirocco gets about 38 miles per gallon on the highway. Scirocco, the hot one from Volkswagen.
My daughter learned a lot of good cooking in my kitchen. Of course, she saw a mistake now and then, dried beans, burnt roast. But in 24 years, she never saw me wreck the rice because I've always used minute rice. Foolproof minute rice. You can't overcook it or undercook it. It's perfect every time. Naturally, I'd like to think my daughter's perfect. I know her rice is.
Minute Rice. Perfect rice for 24 years.
I've got problem perspiration, and Mitchum's got 2 of the most effective ingredients to help fight it. It's tough.
But Mitchum's not rough on tender skin. It's gentle.
When you use it at night, Mitchum works even better. While you're sleeping, it's working in.
You wake up feeling dry and smelling clean all day. That protection won't shower away. Use Mitchum at night, then say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night to problem perspiration.
Well, if we haven't told the whole story of TV game shows tonight, it's because we haven't tried to. What we have tried to do is show how it all began. To have you meet some of the pioneers and the stars and great names of this funny world of games. We hope you'll watch these shows with a new understanding of what it takes to make them happen. Will you join me now in thanking our stars this evening, my co-host Betty White, Mr. Ralph Edwards, Mr. Art Linkletter, Mr. Bob Barker, and Mr. Mark Dixon. And all of these great shows and all of us, to all of you, thank you and good night.
Earth, Wind and Fire, Bobby Vinton, Triumvirate, and Kool and the Gang perform in concert tomorrow night. Senator Gary Hart of Colorado is the guest on AM America tomorrow morning at 7. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward star in WUSA on the new ABC Saturday night movie at 9, 8 Central. Then Sunday night, see The Heartbreak Kid, the Sunday night movie at 8:30, 7:30 Central, here on ABC.
The Great American Game Show is a production of Monty Hall Enterprises.